Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. We're now joined by head cross-country coach Gary Aycock. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Since we last talked to you, you've competed in 2 races and turned in notable performances at both events. Let's start with the Royals Cross Country Challenge, where the women took 3rd and the men took 4th. Were you happy with the results of that race, and do you feel it was a pretty successful tune-up for the PBC Championships?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good chance to run, and it was a huge race field. It's, countless teams, it seemed like, in the men's and women's race. And our overall finishes I was pleased with. I was most pleased with seeing progress and seeing our times drop throughout the season. And we've continued to do that from the first race of the season through the Royals Challenge. So it was great to see a competitive effort for the men and women in that race. And again, it set us up for what to expect in the PBC Championships.
Well, speaking on that, most recently your teams returned from the PBC Championships, and the men placed 3rd out of 10 teams. Talk about the overall team performance on how the Braves stacked up against the competition.
Extremely pleased with how the men raced this past weekend. Last week I had both teams write up championship action plans to just to check internal threats, external threats within the conference teams, and the men projected that they had a good shot at running for 3rd, and I didn't doubt them at the time, and they went with it. They ran the race plan as they laid out. We talked about some strategic approach and how they were going to run the race, and they met their goals, and I think we were seeing personal best from each of the men that scored this past week, and really pleased with the performances.
Well, sophomore Joel Johnson was a leader for the Braves as he grabbed first-team all-conference honors with a 7th-place finish, and freshman Will Pearson was named PBC Freshman of the Year, an all-conference runner with his 8th-place finish. Did those guys push each other throughout the race, and was achieving laurels like those a focus going into the race?
It was. I knew that both Joel and Will would race well this past weekend because their practices have been going extremely well. They went out strong at the beginning of the race like I'd asked them to do, and pretty much were in that lead pack for the majority of the race. Will Pearson was, it was not, I'm not going to say a shock, but his performance really stood out for our team. He's battled some sickness and some injuries this year, and for him to come out and run as fast as he did as a freshman, taking the Freshman of the Year honors, I was thrilled for him. And I texted his dad the minute the race was over because I knew his parents would be excited as well. Joel, again, I think Joel had a very good race. He started well. Will stayed on his heels, pretty much the entirety of the race, and Joel finished about where we thought he could finish. So those two leading our team really helped us push towards that 3rd-place finish.
Well, let's switch sides a little bit and go to the women's. Let's talk about the women's team. They placed 4th and were just 2 points away from a top 3 finish. What do you think could have made the difference in the race, and how will the women use this result to push themselves in the next race, which is the region championships?
The only thing that the women did or didn't do that the men did is they didn't get out as strong as the men did at the beginning of the race. We had a chance to preview the course the Friday prior, and being our first time at Georgia Southwestern, we knew that getting out from the starting line, getting into the woods in a good position was going to be paramount for the team's success. Abby and Kendall went out very well, and were able to come out of the woods in the position that they needed to be successful towards the end. Our 3, 4, and 5 girls kind of fell back in the woods, kind of fell asleep, and it ultimately hurt the end result. We definitely know who the targets are for the region championships, and I still think we have a great shot at qualifying for nationals.
Well, 3 freshmen led the race, including Abby Culp, who placed 3rd. She set a new school record with a sub-22-minute time and was named first-team all-conference. What were her personal goals going into the race, as well as what goals did you have for her, and were all those goals met?
Well, again, back to the action plan that we set up, the week prior. We knew that both Abby and Kendall had a great shot at potentially winning the race, and to see 3 freshmen from the Peach Belt take the top 3 spots is really a recruiting focus that we know that we're going to have to do some recruiting on our end to be able to maintain that spot. But again, they ran their action plan. The race plan, it went very well. Abby was very competitive, and Kendall was right on her heels. They worked off each other throughout the race, and Abby was just able to have a little bit a stronger push than Kendall at the end, and that was the end result.
Well, sophomore Kendall Boykin crossed the finish line in 6th and also notched a first-team all-conference honor. She was just 1 second off her personal best time, which was a school record prior to the meet.
Right.
What was the difference in the race for her, and did her performance help push Abby Culp to her outstanding time?
Well, Abby and Kendall had been working very well together in practice all year long, and I had told them at any given race, either of them could be the leader of the team. definitely they worked off each other. They definitely earned their all-conference spots, and I believe that they have a legitimate shot at if the women's team doesn't qualify as a team, I think both of them have a legitimate shot as qualifying to the national championships as individuals. Again, very pleased with what's going on with the women's team. Kendall especially, she's just a testament to what hard work over the summer can do, because she is just leaps and bounds a better athlete this year because of the way she's planned and prepared versus her freshman campaign.
All right, well, we're going to take our next commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue talking to Coach Aycock, so stay tuned.